But you can put yourself back in. All right, welcome to Deal or Flipside, everyone's favorite Flipside game show. So, actually, our only game show, huh? More or less. All right, but let's do our quick intro. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce all our guests into the show. We got JP joining us. What's going on?
Hey, happy to be here. I'm looking forward to this. So excited to hang out, except for nobody told me that guy was going to be on here. Like, I haven't pointed in the right direction for once. So, no, this is exciting. I can't wait to play. This is fun.
All right, who do we have sitting right next to them? Sorry. I was getting the polls ready for the show.
Right down here at the Comic Man Andy in the Comic Cave and Comic Dojo. Let's kick it. Let's do some battle.
All right, and then we have Slaggle House.
Hey, what's going on?
Or House?
You can go Haas, you can go House, whatever you want to do. I go Haas, but
Okay.
yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on the channel. I mean, you guys do an awesome show, and this is awesome to be with other comic book YouTubers and content creators. So I'm looking forward to this.
All right.
Hey, what's going on? This is Dollar Ben, aka Rich Taylor, the guy on the Whatnot show that gives away free books and doesn't know where to send them. Goodbye.
And we have Nico.
Hi.
All right.
Hi.
All right.
Man, a few words.
There you go.
Inventor of the game. I'll go ahead and say it. But yeah, we have a lovely graphic today, and I forgot to add everyone's logo on it. But make sure to like and subscribe to all their individual channels because
Frank Gogol made the logo. Frank Gogol. You write comic books? Frank Gogol.
Yeah. I miss talking to Frank.
My friend.
Yeah.
Cancel me. I don't give a fuck.
I'm just glad we're past that first minute. All right.
See, I talk, Aaron.
All right. So for those that are not familiar with the game, we'll throw up two different books for comparison. And then everyone on the panel has signs. And then they'll pick which book they will just write Deal or Flipside on a sheet of paper, Nico.
We'll be okay.
All right.
It's going to be okay.
And then I'll choose two panelists to discuss the book, and then it's open for discussion afterwards. And then I'll make sure to set up polls afterwards. But let's go ahead and get into our first comparison. So this is from Rob, who recently joined the Modern Playbook team. We have Miss Marvel number 31, the Stephanie Hans Frankie's Comic Virgin variant that sold for $150 at a CGC 9.8 versus the Invincible Iron Man number 1, Audie Grandoff Riri Williams hip hop cover that sold for $150 also. So on the count of three, hold up your signs for red for Miss Marvel or blue for the Riri hip hop cover.
Oh.
All right.
Oh,
3, 2,
jumped the gun.
1. All right, let's go with Dollar and Swaggle House. Our house. That's my bad.
Go ahead, guest.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Well, so I went with the Miss Marvel book because, as we were discussing backstage, there's different ways you can go about this. You can go about this as just a fan of the book or as someone who wants to kind of spec on this thing. And look, I'm someone who doesn't necessarily have a preference, personally for either one of these books. But if I'm looking at the spec side of things, I'd rather just go with Miss Marvel at this point because that show is coming up a lot sooner than the Riri Williams one. And I feel like I'm going to get a better return on that one. So it's kind of a logical answer in that way. But yeah, I would definitely pick Miss Marvel personally.
Good points. Well, we all know there's a trade dress of this. It's an official version from Marvel. This is a retailer variant with just, the trade dress off of it. It's a beautiful cover, no doubt. It's a different kind of iteration of Kamala Khan. I mean, she looks super older and sophisticated and knows what she's doing. Plus, she has bubble gum. So, shout out to Long Short. But Invincible Iron Man 1, the Granoff hip hop variant. I mean, hip hop variants are kind of in a lull. Well, they are in a lull right now. But with recent news that Black Panther 2 was recording on the campus of MIT, in which Riri graduated from MIT, just tells me that, she's probably going to be coming to the MCU a lot quicker than we thought. And I think $150 is definitely a really good price point for that book. So I would definitely hold this hip hop, and I would flip that Hansberry.
All right, so the floor is now open for either or book.
I don't feel strongly about either of these. I'll be honest.
Well said, JP. Well said. Nevertheless, Black Books, tough 9-8. I'll take a number 1 over the Frankie's exclusive. Hard for me to support Frankie's random virgin variants. I frankly hate random store virgin variants as a matter of principle because they ruin otherwise cool covers. Drives me freaking nuts.
I agree with the black covers. There's been a couple of people in the chat have said that those darker covers be a little bit harder in the long run. I feel like the fan base for the hip hop variants is much larger than the bubblegum variants. And I'm with Nico on this. I'd rather
Don't tell Ben.
I'd rather purchase a number 1 than that Frankie's exclusive, to be honest. But Swaggle House kind of wins me over a bit there too.
Yeah, and it doesn't do any help that Frankie's doesn't, expose the print runs, which is not cool.
No.
Yeah, and those hip hop covers are notorious for their color up on the front or back. All right, so let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so this is actually a comparison that didn't make it last week because we went on a little long. But we have a Savage She-Hulk number 1, CGC 9.6, that sold for $446. Versus the Amazing Spider-Man number 4, CGC 9.8, that sold for $404. Free shipping on the Amazing Spider-Man 4. All right, on the count of 3, hold up your signs for, flip red for She-Hulk, blue for Amazing Spider-Man number 4. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go with Andy and JP.
Ooh, guest versus guest. I'm going to go straight off the cuff here and say I'm picking Amazing Spider-Man 4 because I think you've got a younger fan base that has a lot more potential and room to grow for this book. With 0 option news right now, I don't know. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not tuned up on what's going on with specifically that era or that area right now. Is there a show for sure coming?
Supposed to be for Silk, yeah.
Supposed to be, but nothing's factual at this point, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Well, if I remember correctly, things are kind of locked in for She-Hulk at a 9.6, right? Well, that fan base that remembers that book, that grew up with that character, that grew up with that, is in their prime. I don't want to date people and whatnot, but there's a much younger fan base that hasn't hit their prime yet, and these books are at a level right now. I feel like Amazing Spider-Man 4 is going to push past that in time. I really do.
For me, I think we know what we're going to get with She-Hulk. It's actually being produced by Marvel. The Silk thing's being controlled by Sony. I don't always trust the Sony side of things. I really like Silk as a character. Those are the books I have. I don't actually own the She-Hulk book. I flipped that already, but for me, I think the She-Hulk book, with the show coming, with Mark Ruffalo probably stepping aside, that she's gonna be the Hulk for a while. I just think that's the book that's over for the foreseeable future is going to be the book with the most potential.
All right. The floor is open for discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely on the She-Hulk side of things with this, between this debate. For me, it's just like, obviously, like was already mentioned, we know She-Hulk is coming. So you have that sort of like guaranteed hype that's going to be manufactured for, that book, which is going to up it in value. But, when I really step back and think about it too, I mean, She-Hulk is, in my opinion, I mean, maybe you guys disagree, I feel like She-Hulk is one of the kind of like premier female characters within Marvel comic books. And I feel like it's not just the fact that she's going to get a show. I truly believe like she's going to be one of the female faces of the MCU for like many, many years to come. So I feel like this is a book that has like legs into the future. Silk, very cool character, but like pretty unproven overall. I mean, I think that she has her audience and like, she makes great hip hop variant covers and things like that. But like, we haven't seen the pop culture world, or she hasn't like taken the pop culture world by storm yet. So, to me, it's like, it's still kind of unknown what her ceiling is.
I'll add to that. Silk, next gen character. We don't know what's going on. I mean, we heard Amazon Prime's going to have something. Then we heard something with Silver Sable, but she's still hot as you know what. 9/6 She-Hulk has been hovering around $400 for the last 6 months to 8 months. This and there's a series coming. It's confirmed. And we're still hovering around that same number. ASM 4, huge print run, 125,000, still selling for around $400 with no news, no content. I think Silk, the next gen character, I think that's a no-brainer. I'll take that one. And on top of that, there's a ton of She-Hulks out there as well. I don't really know the differentials between the newsstand and the directs. I've heard a bunch of different stories, but I've owned 5 copies of this book. And all 9/6s, and they've all been around 450, 350, 450, right around that number for the last 6 to 8 months. This book, no content, no news, no nothing, comic driven, next gen, still $400, 9/8. It's only 6 years old.
Yeah, can I mention that I thought this was a lot more difficult than I'd care to admit. That's the truth, right? Like, usually when I kind of like see these comparisons, you can sort of see books with an upward trajectory that's a multiplier, right? And frankly, unless that Silk show actually gets made, I don't necessarily see the ASM 4 doubling in price. If it does, and it's on Amazon and it's got, like a big budget, like we all sort of hope and pray that it does, it's $1,000 book. But when I go through like the list of Sony properties that they've alleged were going to be made into live action, it becomes laughable real quick, right? Like everything under the sun. And we're going to do this and this and this and this. And you're like, ugh. And I get that the information around Silk is a little more substantial than it is around some of those other characters, but there's not a lot of confidence, I don't think, from anybody on the panel, and these guys are all real smart. She-Hulk, similarly, do I suspect that a She-Hulk 198 is going to be a $2,000 book? I don't know. Do I? And it would have to be for the 9/6 to kind of double to that, $1,000, $900, $800 mark, right? Do I suspect that both of these books will, see like maybe a 50% increase in price and kick up around like the $600, $650 mark around wintertime? Absolutely reasonable and feasible. But this was a little bit more difficult than I care to admit. I inevitably went with She-Hulk, but I think everybody had some real valid points. I think Andy convinced me for the book that he wasn't arguing for when he talked that. But anyway, neither here nor there. Yeah, all good stuff.
I mean, historically, both these books have been like way undervalued for a long time, right?
No.
No.
Oh yes, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then one other thing I always like to mention is that with the Savage She-Hulk, this was Stan Lee's last Marvel character that he created. And so, yeah. All right, let's move on to our next set of books. All right. Yep. So this is from last week also. Old school versus new school, right? So we have a Fantastic Four number 50 raw copy that sold for $305 versus the Silver Surfer Black number 5, the 1 in 200 variant that sold for $305 signature series, signed by Donny Cates. Is that the same issue that's showing up in the Walmart packs, or is that not it? No, it's the 1 in 500s that are showing up in the Walmart packs. Never mind.
No.
All right. So for old school, hold up the red Flipside sign, or blue for the Silver Surfer Black. Hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. Ooh, wow, unanimous. That's what I figured. Anyone care to play Devil's Advocate on the Silver Surfer Black?
If there was a warehouse sale, we'd probably see that variant in it.
Okay.
What's important?
I mean,
about
you know,
that?
it's a signed book. It's a slab. You know, that it's got that going for it. You know, there's people who like their rare variant covers. So, you know, to those people, I'm sure that they would prefer a book like that. But yeah, it's a little hard for me to argue for that one because I feel more strongly about the FF50.
Understandable. All right. Nico, why did you pick Fantastic 450?
I'm trying to think of a way to be polite about that. So, one, it may be the book in the trifecta of 48, 49, and 50 that has the most room to move. By all accounts, has everybody's favorite cover. And, you know, those entry-level copies, I mean, this thing could be like, you know, pushing $1,000 for a presentable entry grade or entry level copy real soon. You know, as soon as we get sort of wind of the Surfer. By comparison, you know, there are some real diehard Donny Cates fans, and you know, maybe Silver Surfer Black will have a second life. But at the end of the day, I don't know who that person is on his board. Is that Null?
Yeah, I think it's Null.
Yeah. Do you remember when people cared about him and they were paying like $1,000 for that fucking third print, and I told them they were stupid? Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like a $400 book now.
Oh God, you know, and it's just kind of like it's done. Plus, I don't know what's wrong with Cates if he has like some sort of like if he derives some sort of like sadistic pleasure in like ruining the monetary value of the characters and the books that he writes. But I've never seen anyone go out of their way to kind of like destroy plot lines and characters like this guy. It's hard for me. I mean, I'll read what he writes. I think the guy's got conceptually one of the best, arguably the best in the game right now, right? But it's hard for me to get really excited about books that are important in his sort of lineage of you know, keys, because he's got a penchant for ruining them and setting them on fire.
Have you never met anyone from Austin? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But does anyone else want to add of why they picked the Fantastic Four number 50?
Yeah, I'll go. Well, first of all, it's part, you know, Fantastic 450 is part of the Holy Trinity, and it's an iconic cover. And you know, if you can't afford 48 and 49, or even Silver Surfer 1, this one is still obtainable. Presents pretty good. I don't really like the way the spine looks on the bottom left. It's a tough book. That brown, and it's square bound. Hard to get white pages on that. But like I said before, I mean, that Silver Surfer Black 1 and 200 Torment was a sought after book. It probably still is, but I know for a fact that was in multiple warehouse sales. And it was no surprise that the other big 1 in 500 was found in a Walmart 3-pack, and that was a sought after book as well. So, vintage, you can't go wrong. I mean, that cover is just ridiculous. It's a must have for every collection, and that thing will continue going up in value. I do not see Nolan Silver Surfer Black continuing to go up in value unless something happens with Null with comic to movie iteration.
Good stuff. All right, we'll move on. All right. So we have another set of books picked by Rob's Comics, Robert Fordham. So we have Moon Knight number 2, 9.8 variant that sold for $600 versus the Spider-Gwen number 1, CGC 9.8, Adam Hughes 1 in 100 variant. All right. So Flipside for the Moon Knight book. The Modern Playbook symbol, blue for Spider-Gwen, the 1 in 100. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go with Saga House and Andy.
All right. Well, in fairness, I don't necessarily have like a super strong feeling about either of these books or a strong opinion either way. I'm just kind of going off of the fact that when I compare the two covers, I see Spider-Gwen on one and I don't even know what I see on the other one. Is that kind of like Mummy Moon Knight version? So I know that's kind of like a silly way to evaluate, the book here. But there's a lot of Spider-Gwen fans. I feel like there's so many Moon Knight keys to go after, whereas like Spider-Gwen has kind of a smaller history of books that people really like. So I don't know. I know I'm not selling it too hard, but this it's a number 1 issue, 1 in 100, Spider-Gwen for the young kids. I just I'm feeling that book more than the other one.
Yeah, it's for me. I'm more of a Moon Knight fan than I am a Spider-Gwen fan. So I would grab that, and just on the hopes of having a potential decent ROI on a short-term flip based on the news and everything that's been happening around Moon Knight. So, I mean, it's like I'm not feeling super strong about either book, but because I'm more of a Moon Knight fan than I am a Spider-Gwen and potential short-term gain, that's kind of why I went that route.
Sorry, I've probably been making weird faces. There's like a lot of static that's been in my ear. It's been driving me nuts, and I just fixed it. So, sorry if I look like weird.
Hey, I'm glad you figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try. I did not need to reboot. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm a moron. Stop talking.
But which book would you pick, Nico?
The Adam Hughes. Not even a close call. I mean, I like the Tedesco variant. I like Tedesco's art, but come on now.
Yeah, I mean, every time we...
it's not like...
Yeah. I mean, every time someone suggests the Spider-Gwen 1 in 100, I always find it interesting that, the art was originally for a commission, and then was later used for an incentive cover. But, I mean...
Yeah, but 20 years from now, is anybody going to care? I mean, I get that there's maybe an opportunity on that Moon Knight, like, lickety split, and with CGC's backlog, it's like, good luck trying to sub a 9.8 of that Tedesco variant before the Moon Knight hits the small screen because it's black and so forth. But like, I don't know.
See, to me, there's few, like, although there's been a ton of Spider-Gwen covers, that's kind of the cover for that number 1. Is that Hughes that everybody wants? That Moon Knight cover just doesn't. There's so many Moon Knight covers that have come out recently. For me, that one doesn't move the needle, like, compared to being a number 2. It's not that rare. I don't know. That one just doesn't move the needle for me. I would be all about the Spider-Gwen just because of that. So, and plus it's Hughes, and I like Tedesco, but Hughes carries there's a bigger audience for him.
Oh, most definitely. And it's been really interesting watching this book over the last year. I actually bought a copy of the Spider-Gwen for like $350 as CGC 98.
Wow.
And yeah. So
Nice.
yeah,
Aaron's an undercover like killer, just for the record, in case people don't know that. Like, just it's insane. He's like, oh yeah, I paid like $4 for that book like 6 years ago.
yeah,
All the time.
Yeah, I don't even want to say which book it was that you're like, hey, we should be picking up these. I was like, oh yeah, I already picked up a 9.8 last year for like 80. So
Strong like bull.
yeah, but you know, it's always fun. Like, yeah. But anyways, all right, let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so this is from TG 9000. He sent me this comparison. He was like, you got to compare these. Like, he sent me 2 different comparisons, and he's like, if you're gonna pick one or the other, choose this one. And I was like, all right, like I'm gonna put it up there, but like it's a good one. So we have Something Is Killing the Children, number 6, the Frozen Ghost variant, the 1 in 25. That sold for $1,875. Versus the Why the Last Man, number 1, CGC 9.8, which sold for $1,799. All right. So Something Killing, both Netflix shows, right? So we'll see.
They're not both Netflix.
They're not? Which
Nope.
one's?
FX.
Why the Last Man is FX.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Or Hulu.
So it's like
I have pay for cable like everyone else, but no one watches it.
Yeah. All right. So for Something That's Killing the Children, hold up the Flipside sign. Or for Why the Last Man, hold up the Modern Playbook symbol, blue. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. Oh, wow, unanimous. All right. We got 2 unanimous decisions.
Well, and hey, for the record, we could all be real wrong real soon.
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
like let's be honest. Something Killing the Children could get stuck in development hell.
Yep.
And it could go the way of, you know, God only knows how many other properties that we all were like, it's gonna happen, right? And Why the Last Man could be like Invincible in live action. I mean, it was legitimately the story that I think captured all of our hearts at one point in time, right? When we were reading that thing, it was just like, oh, this is amazing. The covers are amazing. Vaughn's amazing. And I mean, it could legitimately just go bonkers and be like, you know, $4,000-$5,000 fucking book like that. So there's my could have been the other guy, but
I honestly thought I was going to be on an island. So, like with that one, I was expecting to be the only one to go with the Something's Killing the Children, because it's to make the art. I mean, the devil's advocate is it's not necessarily a key with number 6.
Oh, absolutely, it is 4
Yeah,
first appearances.
Yep. Was it 4? Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of the wrong issue then. Okay, then I was confused on which issue that was then. So, but
like, look, don't get me wrong. I'm a massive BKV fan, and I want Why the
I know
Last
you
Man
are.
to be successful. But how many success stories does FX Hulu really have underneath its belt at this point? This might be the game changer. Don't get me wrong. Nico was right. There could be development hell for Something's Killing the Children. But honestly, I really want to stick with strong female badass leads, and Netflix has a better track record, and I think Tinian is just killing it on the story. I love BKV, but you're looking at early BKV when he was still finding himself and really still growing as a writer. So I think Why the Last Man overall as a larger story has some more hiccups in it that most fans aren't quite aware of yet, that might not translate well on the screen. Not that they're going to stick to that script necessarily, but I feel like Tinian's a better fleshed out writer. Fleshed out, whatever. That's terrible to say. But I mean, I think Tinian delivers a better story in Something's Killing the Children from beginning to where he's at now than what BKV did originally in Why the Last Man. And FX, if they don't nail this, if they don't really nail this, what kind of trend does it set for BKV going forward, hitting the screen for Saga or anything else? So I'm freaking super worried, Nico. You know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
how many guys on the panel would have bid on the Something Killing the Children if they knew it was going to end at 1,800?
Well, I don't have that kind of money. So
I'd rather try to dig it out. I don't know.
I'd rather buy something else even still with that.
I hear ya.
I mean, I would love to have that cover, but I would not. Yeah, I can't go that high. Those numbers are out of my range.
That's where on the other side of the coin, where a lot of people are diehard Silver Age, Golden Age. Like I'm a modern, what's going to be the next blue chip modern key? That's what I kind of chase. That's where I find my thrill in my hunt.
And
that book's escaped me. Actually, I mean, legitimately escaped me. I've just never seen it in person.
I have a raw copy. I still haven't graded it, and then I would have still considered it, knowing that if it was going to end under 2K, just because how often do you run into these, and especially with 22 bids? Do you think it actually started at $1?
No.
Well,
maybe.
Let's get down to brass tacks here. I mean, we got House of Slaughter that's coming up. It's already an option going to Netflix. This title, and the spinoff to House of Slaughter, and then the continuation onto the second volume of Something is Killing the Children. But in this book, you have the first appearance of Cecilia, which is a big player. You have the first appearance of Aaron Slaughter. It's actually his full appearance. Unfortunately, he passed away, but yeah. And then you also have the first appearance of the Order of St. George in full, House of Slaughter, or the organization that runs these slaughter, these hunters or whatever. And then you have the first appearance of the Oscura type babies, which are the baby monsters. This is a huge key in this run. I believe retailer orders are below 6,000. You got a 1 in 25. I mean, max, you got what? I don't know, 240, and most shops probably didn't even order 25 copies. So there's probably a lot less. This book is money, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this thing at 4,000 once it hits Netflix.
Yeah. The only thing I would add, I mean, you guys all brought up really great points. But the only thing I would add too is Why the Last Man just had its trailer out, right? So it's this is the price that it's at with hype and anticipation built around a trailer. Something's Killing the Children. We've not seen anything. I mean, we're all, it's all to me, obviously people feel like Something's Killing the Children is, going to have some kind of property or whatever. But I do feel like some of the values of that book, a large percentage of it is still just the passion of just the comic book itself, as opposed to the spec aside. So, kind of Nico was saying, maybe Why Last Man becomes Invincible, but if it is the flash in the pan, I feel like Something's Killing the Children still has more legs, even just to the comic book audience, outside of, some property coming in.
Some good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next set of books. Excuse my dogs. All right, so we have Shuri number 2, the second print, CGC 9.8 that sold for $280 versus Killmonger number 2, the 1 in 25 Jeff DeCall variant that sold for $229. All right, so Flipside for Shuri. Blue for Killmonger. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my!
Wow.
Sweet. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and play devil's advocate on this one then. I don't care who wants to go for sure.
I felt like this is the safe play. I went with what a lot of my friends and a lot of other people that I've heard in the community, because I have no strong feelings about either book, and I'm not seeking either one. But I feel like, from what I've heard, that second print 9.8, I'd pick that over the Killmonger, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pass up on the call variant, to be completely honest, and it being a 1 in 25. How often do you really run into these? So that's mainly the reason why I picked it. And then, I just like that Killmonger cover, like with him holding guns. Like, I don't know, something about it that catches my eye.
I mean, to play devil's, I think the Killmonger cover is the better looking cover for sure. It's just, to me, like, I like that cover before, and the Shuri is the same cover as the first print. It's just a different color background, and I actually like the color background on the first print better. But I just think Shuri's the better bet going forward. Like, that, just, to me, we know Shuri's going to be involved MCU going forward. I don't think we're going to. I know there's a lot of people begging to get Killmonger back. I don't think we're getting Killmonger again. I don't think Michael B. Jordan's coming back. I don't think they're going down that road, even without Chadwick. So yeah, I just think there's more potential on the Shuri book than there is on the Killmonger book. I think it is what it is for the most part.
Retailers ordered this book below 1,000 copies. I just pressed one for Steve, sent it to CGC. It's a tough book. It's got Notorious for Color Rub right up here, right under the variant logo. Also on the back cover. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing going on in the guts. You know, there's no, I mean, as far as I can see, there's no first appearance, whatever, but it's a super low print run. It's a really cool cover, and Shuri obviously has legs. I mean, it's all but confirmed she's going to be the next Black Panther. You know, so I think 280 is a really nice price point for that book. I mean, yeah, you're right. The DeCall 1 in 25 for Killmonger. You guys know I love Killmonger, but it's a better cover. But at the same token, I just think that Shuri is the long-term play.
Can I ask you guys a question, since nobody seems to really give two shits about the comparison? How are they going to have Namor punch Shuri in the fucking head on the big screen? I just, like, not crush her skull. I mean, like I don't understand how they do that, like the optics of that. And similarly, it looks like Shooter today all but confirmed Secret Wars. Shouldn't we get Michael B. Jordan back for like a Secret Wars battle of some kind?
Absolutely.
I might have like a Social Security card by then, or like a Social Security check by then. You know what I mean? I'd be like 65 on fucking Medicare, but inevitably, won't that happen?
Well,
I think maybe.
Maybe. My wild speculation would be, I mean, we know we're going to get a Killmonger What If episode where he like meets Tony Stark. So my wild speculation idea would be, oh, like he meets Tony Stark brings him in, he becomes like kind of a good guy within that sphere. And in that universe, he's a good guy. And then when the multiverse thing happens, he ends up in our world. So then now we have good guy Killmonger in our world, and maybe he becomes Black Panther. So I don't know. I think it's definitely possible that we could see him, but I think Shuri just might be the safer bet as far as like who we're going to see. And I don't know. She's got those dodge skills, man. Nero will be punching, but she'll just be, you know.
Yep.
I just think Killmonger is too popular of a villain, super villain, to be a one and done. You know, Angela Bassett let a leak go in February. Her husband knew about it at the BET Awards, saying that the entire crew, including Michael, will be back. Also, on top of that, you know, it's happened in the comics. Killmonger was Black Panther, you know, Kill Panther, and on, you know, not to mention, you know, I just think that eventually he will be back. It doesn't necessarily have to be Black Panther, but you know, he's just too popular not just to be a one and done. It just doesn't make sense to me. And on top of that, one last thing, that news that I mentioned about Riri, the Riri news, she got her degree, or she studied at MIT, and her apartment's at MIT, and Black Panther 2 was seen filming on MIT campus last week. Well, in the comics, Eric Killmonger got his master's degree at MIT too, just to let you know.
Some good stuff there. It reminds me of a Digging In with Dollar episode. So make sure to catch that Roundtable.
Digging In with Dollar.
All right. So let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so this was also sent by TG9000. So we have Avengers Annual number 10 that sold for $1,750 at a CGC 9.8 versus Batman Beyond CGC 9.8 that sold for $1,800. But a bit of it's charity, so I don't know if that affects anyone's decision. But let's hold up your signs. Avengers Rogue for Flipside, and then Batman Beyond for the Modern Playbook. 3, 2, 1. Let's go with Andy and Dollar.
Dollar Man, I'm on a coin flip here. If I'm looking at that correctly, that's a newsstand Batman Beyond. That's kind of why I went that route. We constantly hear the community talk about how terrible a cover Avengers Annual is, but it's the first appearance of Rogue and Madeline. I mean, coin flip. I'm just seriously going for that Batman Beyond at this point. Like, if I'm spending this money between these two books, newsstand, possible better ROI for me on that aspect, because I wouldn't keep either of the books technically for my collection.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even notice it was a newsstand, so good eye. But I don't know. I nothing about Rogue. I mean, there was the castings that we thought was Rogue, and then ended up being Veronica, and then so on and so forth. But I mean, yeah, and then her face is on the cover. It's about the size of a grape, which kind of sucks. I mean, if she was fully on that cover, and me and Nico have talked about it multiple times, that book would probably be double in price. But every time I see this book, I get excited. I don't know annual numbers or in that area, but I'm guessing, it was around 80, 81. I'm guessing there wasn't a lot of comic shops at that time. So the directs were probably a lot less, around than the newsstand copies. But who am I to say? I just think that like the first book we were talking about with Silk, I know it's a different scenario, different book, but speaking on the character, there's no news, there's no rumors, there's nothing with Rogue and Madeline Pryor, and this book continues to climb. And it's vintage. I think I like that book.
All right, so the floor is open for either or book.
I mean, I picked the Avengers Annual 10. For me, a couple factors, I guess. Number one, I mean, right now you just got to look like Marvel versus DC. What is going to potentially manufacture like a higher value? I feel like you have to always tip your hat to the Marvel side of things, just because like the MCU is doing what it's doing versus DC. You never really know. And then two, like, I mean, everything is on the table for Rogue to be one of the characters that's brought in. I mean, pure speculation, but they have the setting to have her origin into the MCU be exactly how it happened in the comic books, with having it go through Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel, and now they're ready, primed to bring in X-Men. And I think we're going to get all those popular X-Men from the 90s cartoon when we get the MCU roster of the X-Men. So I just feel like Rogue is just one of those characters that just slots right in to the MCU perfectly. And even though it's a terrible cover, the Batman Beyond one is so much better. It's just a classic book. It's a classic 1980 book.
One thing I'm surprised is with the Batman Beyond book, they actually used the custom label from the the Rhode Island School of Institute, where they had the contest for different graduates to create a label. So I'm surprised they actually went with that. I mean, I understand that DC doesn't have labels except for special occasion books or whatever. But all right, let's go ahead and move on to our next set of books. And we actually have another guest joining us in a second. So we have Rob with us. So welcome to the panel.
What's going on, fellas?
Yeah, so I mean, I used some of your comparisons that you gave me last week, and then I saved a couple for the end in case you could join us, so you could educate us a little bit more about some of these. I'll give it a hint. There will be some foreign books for comparison.
That's why I'm here.
Now I'm in trouble.
All right, and then so we're at our last two books. So we have one more comparison after this. So we have a CGC 9.6 Wonder Woman number 600 Adam Hughes variant, which is a homage to Sensation Comics number 1. That sold for $237.50 versus a Superman and Batman number 7 French Del Auto CGC 9.6 that sold for $265. All right. So Flipside sign for the Wonder Woman, Modern Playbook for the Superman and Batman. If you don't have the signs, you can just say red or blue, or or do left or right, and then All right, yeah, that works too. All right, so hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1.
Blue.
All right, let's go with Swaggle House and Rob.
All right. So I'm gonna go with Superman, Batman 7, French Del Auto 9.6. That actually is cheaper than it has been before. Even in that grade, it's been going for about $450 to $600. But being a 9.6, you know how we all are 9.8 snobs. This kind of took a little bit of that hit, but these books were actually limited. I think it's under 700 if I'm not mistaken. But of course, the Adam Hughes Del Auto, I love that book too. I believe these are the two books I picked. I believe so, because I remember looking at these and was like, man, I wouldn't mind taking that. But I'm a Del Auto fan and I love Adam Hughes too. But if I had to pick, that Superman, Batman 7 is a little bit harder to come by than that Adam Hughes colored 9.6.
Yeah, they're both great books for sure. To me, it just kind of comes down to the Wonder Woman having kind of two factors that I think are interesting with it. Obviously, you got the Adam Hughes fan side of it, but I also like the fact that it's an homage cover, and I feel like whenever you're an homage cover, you're always going to have like a subset of collectors that want to get kind of niche books like that. So I like that it kind of has that thing going for it. So to me, it's a little bit, I could go either way on it. I'm not like super hard in the Wonder Woman direction, but I do appreciate the homage. And, me, myself personally, my personal collecting, I like Silver Age and Golden Age more. So I like that it has like kind of the vintage aesthetic personally.
Fair enough.
All right. Yeah. And the floor is open for discussion for either or book.
One time when I first took over the IG for Flipside, I posted a picture of that French Auto cover, and someone had a nervous breakdown that told me that I was pumping the book. I was like, I don't even have the book. It's fucking French, dude. Leave me alone. It's been a long time.
There's only 28 bids. Clearly manipulation out there.
No, it means that someone liked it more than the one with 22 bids. It's like people say that on one of these panels. I'm like, you're not allowed to come on anymore. You're not allowed to come on anymore. That's the end. You're never allowed to come back.
This is just proof to me that I actually only collect like 10% of comic books that are out there, because like I look at this and I'm like, I just flip a coin. Like literally, like I've got 50 short boxes. I've got 50 short boxes down here, and it's like I literally only like pay attention and collect like 10% of what's going on out there, because it's just like,
This one was, to me, this was a Hughes and homage, and that was why I went that way. I was like, I don't know anything about either of these books. It's like,
I leaned
Yeah,
that way, but then I leaned to the rarity of the Superman Batman 7 Finch.
Yeah. You know what I told myself yesterday? Legitimately, I was like, I will never buy another fucking Wonder Woman book ever again in my entire life. I need to figure out how to get rid of these 2 boxes. This, wherever the fuck, I bought some goofy, detached Golden Age Sensation comics, just so it was like underpriced. And then I was staring at it, and I'm like, I'm never gonna get rid of that book. I'm gonna die with that comic. Like, I need to find someone who likes Wonder Woman, like, just give them all Wonder Woman comics.
I went and grabbed this, right? You know what this is. I don't have to question it, right?
Money in the bank.
This is the German edition, right? Now you want to talk about foreign variants, which I am kind of the one guy on this panel that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
See that? Limited to 333. This is 271.
Nice.
So this is one of those things where you kind of think about it when you think of this is a foreign variant. I know it's editions, but this is a variant. This is a JSC. When you think about this, you just think about like you're really not going to find. This isn't easy to find. That's kind of where I fall into that realm of.
Rob, are those mini books, or are your hands twice as big as Mercenauts?
Well, I mean, yeah, I can rip it too.
Good Lord.
But
yeah, Rob's.
We're gonna have fun in Baltimore. I'm gonna make the guys from the channel just throw me at people.
Rob's seriously no joke. I owe Rob tremendously for helping me complete a chunk of my Saga collection, because he brought my attention to the Mexican Saga variants that are out there quite some time ago, late 2019, early 2020. Thanks to Rob, I was able to score those books from south of the border and actually get those pressed clean, graded, and they all 4 of them, Rob, came back 9.8, man.
Wow. Nice.
Rock out. Pinkies out. That's how you do it.
Let me quickly, not to derail the game here, but let me just ask all you guys, what's your guys' feeling on like the Pence variants and stuff? You ever think that that's gonna blow up in the market and take over? I feel like Rob's already chomping at the bit right here to tell me. So,
well, the guys in Trends have been trying to get them to blow up for like 2 years before they kicked me out of their group. I'm still butthurt about it, motherfuckers. But yeah, so like legitimately, there's like this whole subsection of collectors that have like cobbled together on the internet to be like Pence variants, and every once in a while it sort of works. But I don't understand it, dude. Like why are Canadian Golden Age Batmans worth a fraction of the price of the Americans, or Canadian Silver Age Spider-Mans, or that FF annual that's awesome and they've got like the cool blank pages and stuff, worth less? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I think the more that guys like Rob talk about foreign editions and kind of like focus in on the art, the more legs they have. I'm not necessarily partial to these Pence books were actually printed first because they had to be shipped across the sea sort of argument, but I'm sure that'll appeal to somebody. I swear to God, they made that argument. They used to make it to me. I was like, that's not a good argument.
My take on it is that the American stuff we're being priced out of, right?
Yeah.
The Pence, nobody cares. So it's going to be significantly cheaper than the U.S., but it's still printed in English. That's the point, that the Pence is really that one thing to get.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know someone that has a Tales of Suspense 39 Pence edition versus the U.S. Now, if he gets that graded, I'm pretty sure it's going to be maybe 5 on the census versus the 176 that's on the American side. Yeah. So Pences are going to be more attractive because it's still printed in English. You can still read it if you want to, but it's going to be significantly cheaper, but it's going to be harder to find. Can you imagine Amazing Fantasy 15 in a Pence edition?
Rob, I have a quick question for you. Sorry, Andy. You can go ahead. My bad. Go ahead, Andy.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay, I saw the Hulk 181 German edition. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was printed in 1999. Is that correct?
Yes, because pop culture wise, they wasn't really hip to it. No, okay. The Russian was printed in 99 too, because remember, USSR transitioned to Russia after a certain period of time. So when that happened, pop culture was let in and then you start seeing this flux of books like the Russian UF4, Ultimate Fallout 4.
Right.
You see the Hawkeye, you see the Black Widow, you see the Iron Man, and all that stuff printed right after 99. So foreigns is a side of history and our love of comics at the same time. So a lot of those books are printed afterwards. Now, to answer the question about printed before the US, that's a whole other show. We don't want to derail Dealer Flipside.
Yeah, like the Black Cat that Ben was talking about.
Observation about that. Yeah, one last observation about that. Like with the Pence thing, I don't know that anyone, has like a crystal ball that's going to work on that. Rob's observation about the census size is the best argument that over the long term they're going to be worth more money. But I'd still rather be the guy that pays 80% of what a U.S. copy sells for, and then find the dude who wants to pay 120% because of the small census and get them away from me. I'm not like a long-term player on the Pence.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my take on it.
I mean, if I could add more weight to what Rob said about people not caring, no joke. When I can walk into my own LCS in my own little nook and cranny corner of Michigan and find an ASM 50 Pence variant and walk out for $50.
Oh, dude, that's a good buy.
Yeah, and I will regret letting go of that book for quite some time. But it was a low grade book. Low grade's better than no grade. But I wanted to chase a higher grade ASM 50, so I moved that on to somebody else that was happy to add that to their collection. But I mean, people don't look for that difference a lot of times. And people see Pence variant and they just immediately shut off to it and like, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a true first print, a true first copy. And I'm like, you're darn right I'm walking away with that for $50.
All right. Let's before we keep on asking more questions to Rob, let's move on to our last set of books.
Sorry, Aaron.
No worries.
Oh, I thought this was the last set.
No, I have one more set of books to compare that actually Rob provided for us. So, and then we can ask Rob more questions.
Uh-oh.
All right. So we have Vampirella #1, CGC 9.8, Alex Ross Virgin variant, New Blood, that sold for $535 versus a CGC 9.8 Justice League #12 German photo variant that sold for $550. Red for Alex Ross, blue for Wonder Woman. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1.
Jesus.
Another Wonder Woman.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay, so let's go with Nico and Rob.
Now, don't get me twisted. I love both of these.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I got it. I got you, Nico. I'll let you jump in later. I love both of these books.
You want me to?
I love Alex Ross. I love the photo variant too. What the one thing I can say is though that 9.8 Alex Ross is going to be tough to find in a Virgin period. This did end up on like a hot list where there's not that many available. All you see is a trade dress. But this German Wonder Woman, I know how you feel about Wonder Woman, Nico. I know. But at the same time, 666 copies. You want to talk about print run, short print.
That might be the only cover I want.
It's all about, everybody's about print runs, right? There's no arguing that because I'm pretty sure on the back of that is a number on it. I'm sure if it says 666, it's on the back of it written. So you know what you're getting. You know what's printed.
And I also like how CGC doesn't mark off for that.
Mm-hmm. No, because you could pretty much tell them, hey, it's written in ink. All the copies have it. You get a blue label if you let them know. That's the one. That's the one nugget that I can give you. But it's
so
both of them are gorgeous.
Back to me selling all of my Wonder Woman comics and be rid of all of them, every single one. But the only one I'd probably keep would be a Gal Gadot photo variant. I'd put that by my bedside.
Yes, please.
Yeah, God bless her. She, and is this going to sound terrible? If it was like an Israeli variant, I'd be all about it. But I don't know, like
actually,
Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman German variant, like, it's just terrible. Not. Yeah, that's not. It's like a lot of meh.
That adds weight to it.
The
right?
666 copies thing would be cool if there was like a pentagram on it. I don't know what that's all about either. Add that to my list of like meh. Like I feel like the fucking Vampirilla should be a 666 variant. I sound like the moral majority. It's adorable, huh? Anyway, yeah. I mean, I'm not real interested in either of these books. I definitely wouldn't buy either of these books for anywhere near either of these prices. That's the truth of it. So,
I mean, if I really had to put it in context, there will not be an Israeli one because Wonder Woman didn't release in Israel, even though she's from Israel.
No, he's just.
but they make
dreaming.
they make Israeli comics though, right?
But they didn't release Wonder Woman in Israel, so they wouldn't let this book be
Why?
printed in Israel. Now this is the foreign side of
Do you know why? Like, what's that all about? Yeah, but why? Yeah.
When let's see, culturally, I'm trying to get this right. Yeah, Epoch Catharsis said it right. It's a Masonic thing. The Muslim culture, they don't let women out of the house. They can't go out without a man present. Otherwise, they could be arrested. If I had to really give it the cultural aspect of it, so a woman being a hero, overtelling the story of being a woman hero wouldn't really show too much because most of the women in Israel wear the full garbs. Wonder Woman has skin exposed. They wouldn't let that fly anyway. So I mean, culturally, Wonder Woman wouldn't play in Israel.
I didn't know any of these things. Sounds good. Boy, I feel like a slob. Well done.
I get where Nico's coming from because that would add.
Yeah, the most you'll get is Arabic, but that's about it. But that's the Egypt side, not Israel side. The Middle East, only places that printed anything of that nature would be Egypt, which would be the Arabic edition. There's a Hebrew edition. There's a lot of the Nordic countries, but most of like Kuwait and all of those places, it would be in the Arabic dialect of Hebrew. That's it. It wouldn't be any Muslim comics.
That strikes up a really good question, though. This is the last set, and this last four. And Nico, I got to ask you a question, man. Do you know why the Norwegian Navy puts barcodes on the side of all of its battleships?
No, but I can't wait to hear the answer.
It's so when they return to port, they can Scandinavian.
Wow.
Oh,
God. Good night, everybody.
Everyone's the entire audience.
He's really smart.
Hey, show killer. All right.
Show killer. Comic Man Andy.
and let me add that 1984 Wonder Woman. If it wasn't for Gal Gadot, that movie sucked.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Touch it.
Total trash.
Well,
I could watch her on mute. That'd be the happiest. Yeah. She's a beautiful person inside and out. Had a baby. Congratulations on your baby. Saw that.
well, I want to thank JP, Andy, and Swaggle Haas for joining us. Let us know where we can catch you next.
Go ahead, Andy.
Oh God, no, you go.
Yeah,
you got better
you're
content
there.
than I do.
I don't think that's the case, but so JP's Budget Collecting on YouTube. I do a couple of shows on the weekend. I usually do my looking back at the CBSI Hot Top 10, the Comic Tom, Key Collector, Hottest Trending, see what they're doing 6 months later. I do my Cash or Trash on Sunday. That comes out on Saturdays. I do Cash or Trash on Sundays where I look at this week's hot list and I make predictions sure to go wrong because I often don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But hey, I try it anyway. I do my indie show where I'm reading indies with some of my friends and just talking about those. I got one of those tomorrow night. We're talking about Fables. And yeah, that's most of what I do. So
Nice. Well, I'm Comic Man Andy down here in the Comic Dojo saying you need to subscribe. You need to subscribe to JP and you need to subscribe to Swaggle Haas because the content that those guys put out is never-endingly amazing. But while you're at it, let's hang out in the Comic Dojo a couple of days a week and hit subscribe over there. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. The Slabaganza giveaway is activated and going down. There's 8 packages. There's 8 slabs that are being put together that are going to be given away randomly next month on the 18th.
nice.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely go check out these other guys. I really appreciate the shout out there. But yeah, I'm Swaggle You can search me on YouTube somewhere, and maybe you'll find a video or two and check it out if you guys like it. I try to talk about the market, sometimes about specs, sometimes about just collecting things in the hobby and everything. So maybe have something for everybody out there. But definitely really appreciate you guys, having me on the show and having me be a guest. Like, I think this is such a fun segment. I mean, all the stuff on Flipside is really awesome. And this show is definitely right in there. Really, really cool to like hear all your guys' perspectives on like what books that you want and everything like that, or what would you rather pay for. So I'm definitely an honor to be on the show, and definitely, check out my channel if you want to. Definitely check out JP and Comic Man Andy. They do great stuff too. I watch their content as well. So, thanks for having me on.
All right.
Thanks.
And as usual,
one last thing. Hold on, Aaron. One last thing. I don't understand what the bit was about the Wonder Woman book not being like published in Israel, or like women having to be accompanied by men. I mean, Gal Gadot was in the Israeli army.
It's a religion thing, though, for them.
Yeah,
Well, no,
Mojo
is
Quip
Jewish,
said it.
no, it's not Muslim. You're thinking of like the West Bank and stuff, the Palestinians and Israel that live in Israel.
I was sort of
government.
assumed she was like a Mossad secret agent, and that she was here to like do some fucking cool like CIA vis-a-vis Israel shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's high level
A
Krav.
little fantasy about her liking me more than a friend.
yeah.
She's high level Krav Maga.
But what the hell do I know?
But she didn't like the culture she grew up
You
in.
think she'd like me more than a
they're
friend?
mixed.
That's really the question
Jewish
that I'm
and
asking.
Palestinians are mixed, so yeah, the Palestinian side of that do what he said,
Yeah,
but
but
like the
JP,
Israeli
do
government
you think
itself,
she likes me more than a friend?
Hold on. Let me get out that. What did they call that little cube that you used to do in grade school and flip it a few
yeah,
times?
do the thing.
Rubik's
If
Cube.
all the
I
answers
should
in that
pass
one
her a
no,
note.
you can move it.
I'll be
All
like
right.
Flipside for yes and the tape for no.
So you're saying there's
I'm
a
gonna
chance.
stop now.
Mash.
Yeah.
Play Mash.
all right. And, as a final thought, I just wanted to say, first off, I am not making the schedule for Whatnot for all our Flipside people and associates. Like, that's way too much work, and it's already listed out there for you, so you can just like schedule yourself. Like, it's not like I'm going to be typing there scheduling your show. And then second off,
Tell 'em.
I'm the one crazy Asian that didn't watch Rich Crazy Asians.
There you go.
So
Clearly,
make sure-
you did it because it's Crazy Rich Asians,
Oh,
not
thank
Rich
God.
Crazy Asians.
yeah. Even though like someone from my high school wrote
Yeah.
that. Whatever.
Or super